and welcome to the Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and we're at somewhere rather special, my friend.
We're at the sideline at Old Trafford. We've just seen Manchester United taking on Arsenal. Arsenal getting a 1-0 win, courtesy of a bit of a goalkeeping mistake, we'd have to say. But a day when I think both teams can take something from this game. Arsenal certainly the 3 points. Yeah. Manchester United, Rob, let's just start with them. I mean, from my point of view, and I'll say, obviously, I know you weren't at the Premier League Summer Series tournament because you were away on holiday. But this is a continuation of the work, and I said to you, Ruben Amorim, happy place is on the training ground. Is with these players. And you can kind of see some of the work that's been done and just a bit of a different feel about the team and the club, really, in some respects.
First off, it's such a pleasure, really, to come to the UK for our first weekend. The atmosphere here at the start. I mean, we know there's, like, on the back of summer series and to the signings, that there's some enthusiasm, some excitement about the season. It was loud here, mate. And it was a fierce game, frenetic game. I thought Man United made it a fast game. I don't think Arsenal really wanted that. No. I thought United were quite direct at times to get those front players involved. And they played some really good football. We're very close. You know, David Raya made a brilliant save, a fingertip save. A little later in the game, Dorgo hit the post.
Hit the post, from the left-hand side.
And they stretched Arsenal a lot, Rob.
Both wing-backs got high up the pitch, Dolo overlapping and Bournemouth, Dorgo going down that left-hand side. And it was kind of the... You know, everyone's been talking about the system and the shape, haven't they? Well, today it was none of that.
Not so much about that.
It was about people getting in good areas of the pitch and causing problems. To that point, I'd have to say, I thought Arsenal's defending was excellent. I thought Saliba and Gabriel, which we know is one of the best, probably the best centre-back partnership. Calafiori coming in on that left-hand side did a good job. He picked Calafiori instead of Miles Lewis-Skelly. Yeah. I know Lee Dixon in commentary talked about, he thought it was a smart decision. I think it was. Because he's physical, Calafiori. Yeah. He sprints into the midfield as well to help out. In fact, both fullbacks do when they play. But I think bringing him one side. Ben White's an experienced. Yeah. Like, he's been there, done it. He's a good defender. You looked across at the back four. That's kind of a big unit to... We were fortunate, weren't we? We've just had Mikel Arteta at this a few minutes ago. And what he talked about, Rob, was like managing what Manchester United was today. It was like big crowd, big atmosphere, new signings, new manager, almost like a fresh start. And I think he went, I'll go with my experience, like more controlled heads to make sure I deal with it. And they did a good job of that, didn't they? They
really did. Let's talk about some of the new players on display, Robbie Earle. And let's start with Manchester United and those front players. Yeah. Mateus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo.
Well, we know those guys, Rob. Yeah. We know what they do. If the service is right, if the setup of the team is right, they're going to cause problems.
And they are, aren't they? They did today. It wasn't their day in terms of finishing it off. No. But they looked bright enough and sharp enough. We kind of knew what they were going to be like, and they were pretty much.
The question mark was Mason Mount started the game, but Benjamin Sesko came on, and we got 20 minutes of Sesko, which kind of looked okay. Didn't really get
he looks fit.
Sniff. He looks fit.
6'5".
He's 22 years of age. He's a lot to come. Yeah. You almost sense when he gets in the team and starts to stretch the opposition going the other way, we'll see more of Bournemouth.
I think that front three is going to be exciting. It's whether Sesko can quickly adapt to the speed of things here in the Premier League. That's exciting for them. For Arsenal, Martin Zubimendi, first of all, in midfield.
Ace. Dropped in between the two centre-backs very often. So
very deep. He played very deep.
Very deep. So it allows Calafiori, if he wants to either go out or come infield, it allowed on the other side Ben White to get higher up the pitch. He's going to be a really important player for them, Rob.
I just think he is. I mean, today, he was still good today, but in other games, when it's a little bit slower, and when they're at home, he's going to be just getting tons of the ball, keeping things going, keeping things moving. The amount of times he passed, by the way, to Martin Odegaard, which is a vertical ball, that's going to be really important.
Good football IQ, everybody tells me.
Really, really good. Victor Gyökeres.
Yes.
Maybe not quite so impressive today, my friend.
No. Listen, I always said, and you can go back on the podcast, that you play centre forward for Arsenal, it's just not being at the top end of the pitch. Arsenal have such a very kind of grooved style of play. I think it takes you a while to get used to that. And I think it might take this guy a month before we see him sort of fitting in. I think Graham Lasso talked about it, where there was once or twice in the game today, it looked like he wasn't quite an Arsenal player. What say you, my friend?
Well, it's really early yet. I mean, I just think this was a really difficult game for Arsenal.
Yeah.
And he was, every time the ball came up, I want to see him. I think Leah Dixon in commentary talks about he's lost nearly all the headers.
Yeah.
He's a big lad. He's big and strong. He's got to do a little better with the physicality. But it is early yet.
Yes.
And they've got options. The 5 subs came on in the second half. Kai Havertz is one of those. Very different. He comes on and starts sprinting around. They've got lovely options now. Yeah. Last thing before we move on to other things this weekend, Rob. Bayindir, the Man United goalkeeper of that era. Yeah. I know they've got the front players. I know there's talk about maybe a midfield player, Baliba from Brighton. Yeah. How urgent is the goalkeeping situation? I'm assuming that Andre Onana's going to be back real soon, but he wasn't selected today.
Although it's whether he wasn't anywhere in the squad today. Does he move on? There's talk that Donnarumma's about. To be honest, Rob, I'm at this situation, and I've said this before without repeating myself, unless you get a top-class goalkeeper in the goal, I think of Liverpool and Simon Mignolet. And Liverpool was such a good team, and every now and then, the goalkeeper let you down.
Yeah.
They go and get Alisson, end of story. Yeah. I wonder if Manchester United might have to do the same.
Let's rewind a little bit, Rob, because, of course, the first game was at Anfield on Friday. Liverpool's kind of the vibe around it, of course, was all about Diogo Jota. And the football club, over the last 6 weeks now, has been in mourning. The emotion we felt, Rob, the spirit we felt. The game was, Bournemouth were very strong opponents on the day, and there was end-to-end action. It was a really, really good test of football. Liverpool ultimately, it just felt, the game went 2-2, and very late in the game, Liverpool found a way. Chiesa come on.
First Premier League goal.
Mo Salah gets his first goal.
Season.
But first off, how impressive were Liverpool given the emotions around the night?
Very good. Having got 2-0 up and maybe the disappointment of getting to 2-2, 5 minutes to go in the game, they get themselves the victory. It was almost like this team were not going to leave that pitch without 3 points to honour Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva. The emotions of Mo Salah, Rob, that will stay with me.
I think so.
On the pitch.
Yeah, just for those
in front
who
of
didn't
the cop.
Yeah.
Tears welling up. Obviously, we'd said that, I'd said many times, you don't know how people are going to react until they're there on the day. And Mo Salah probably thought, I can hold this together. And then got to the end of the game. He scored the goal. He did the Jota celebration. And in front of the cop, he was obviously very emotional.
The first weekend, it is all about, or not all about, but a lot about new players.
Yeah.
Hugo Ekitike, the new striker, and Milos Kerkez, the fullback.
Yeah.
I think particularly on the day, we'll get to Kerkez and his game against Semenyo, but Ekitike, Rob, looks like he's got a little bit. He's got a little bit cleverness. He comes in the midfield. He linked very well.
I'm kind of wondering if you're Alexander Isak, do we really need him? Are we going to put Ekitike backwards?
Yeah. Just on the Kerkez, who is a really good player, 21 years of age. He was up against a player in the game on Friday, Rob, that had a very eventful game, and sadly again, there was some racial abuse accused of a fan very close to Semenyo when he's going to take a long throw in. He reported that. I think the police are involved, and hopefully that gets dealt with, and it's still very upsetting for everybody, obviously the player as well. But how about him as a character, as a personality? To kind of brush that aside and
got
play
himself a couple of goals.
2 goals in the game.
Was the outstanding player on the football pitch.
Was the outstanding player.
I thought, in fairness, Rob, it was dealt with in perfect situation by the referee, by the Premier League, by the Liverpool staff. I thought he put a nice message out to Semenyo that he thanked people that the football world had got around him, which I thought was important as well to show that it isn't everybody. It's isolated incidents and isolated people. But Semenyo's a talent. Liverpool showed their emotion, got the job done, and it was very.
That was a special night, Rob, for us to be there to witness that. And then on Saturday, Rob, to be fair, there was more emotion. We got a Wolverhampton Wanderers against Man City.
At Molineux.
At Molineux, and Diogo Jota played 3 years for Wolves, was a huge favourite, a brilliant player at Wolverhampton Wanderers. His wife, again, was in attendance. And the tifo and the atmosphere, that was another very well done
excellent
pay of respect from Wolverhampton Wanderers, wasn't it?
Yeah, number 18 he was for Wolves, he's number 20 for Liverpool, but the number 18, 18 minutes on the clock, there was a moment, a minute of applause. It was excellently done by the football club. In terms of the football, well...
maybe the biggest statement of this opening weekend.
Yeah, was Manchester City.
Yeah.
Manchester City and Pep Guardiola coming to our desk talking about the hunger's back. And I said on our preview poddy, this new young group, this fit again Man City might just rejuvenate Pep. And well, we're only one game in, but I tell you what, it was a pretty good start.
I think what I kind of read between the lines of Pep Guardiola saying that we're starving again, and there's a few players that maybe had won a lot. Yeah, maybe like Gundogan, Bernardo Silva played, by the way. You got Mateo Kovacic. In terms of midfield players, there's a new midfield in town at Man City. Tijani Reinders, the Dutch midfield player they brought in from AC Milan. Good amount of money. He's 28, 27, I think he is. Not quite.
$63 million.
$63 million. Looked amazing. And if those who didn't see it, next time you watch Man City, watch out for Tijani Reinders. Super skillful, assisted a goal, kind of created another one, scored himself as well. Him and then Ryan Shirky that came on, a 21-year-old, another midfield player, looks very, very clever. Rodri's to come back. The midfield has always been their strength, maybe not last season, but it looks like they got good options again.
In the top end of the pitch, the big lad Earle in Haaland bangs in a couple of goals first day of the season and says, make all these signings, bring all these people in. He's still very much the man to catch.
Yeah. Oscar Bob as well, I thought is going to be interesting.
Well.
Not a new player, was out with a bad injury last year. He's pretty tricky on the right side.
It was a really good day for Pep and his team, and I know they've gone under the radar, and I'm sure he'll happy for them to be under the radar, but it might be a Manchester City team that surprised one or two people down the track.
They're going to get tougher games defensively.
Yeah, of course they are.
And Tijani Reinders was interesting when we interviewed him. He kind of said, I'm looking forward to the intensity of the Premier League, but I'm probably going to stay away from duels. So basically, if he doesn't want to get involved in that, he wants to be on the front foot. There's going to be times he is going to be involved in duels, and there will be tougher games for Man City. But I just think their performance was probably the most impressive.
Right, a little bit quick fire. I want to give you some headlines from the first weekend. Thomas Frank, first Premier League game of Spurs, 3-0 win against Burnley team that don't concede goals in the Championship. How good was that? How important was that for Thomas to get started?
Really important. I think the important thing is as well, Richarlison. Maybe it's his time now without Heung-min Son, without Harry Kane.
And he's a great man manager, isn't he, this guy?
Yeah, he really is. And we know that he's very emotional, Richarlison. But in a game when you had Brennan Johnson on the left, Mo Kudus on the right, there's so much talk about front threes. That's pretty good too, and we know they're looking for more players. They've got young players, they've got a young squad. It's going to be exciting to watch Spurs with a good young squad coached in more of a conventional way to see where they can go.
One of the headlines of the weekend.
Well, one of your favourite headlines.
Stadium of Light, mate.
Yeah.
3-0, Sunderland. I'd done a little bit of research on Sunderland, and Regis Lebris, I think his name is the manager. And 3-0 win.
Was it like 7 new players?
They've signed 12 new players, 7 of them started. And I'll tell you what, Rob, against a West Ham team that I thought under Graham Potter, would have a go.
The summer series.
They were dominant, absolutely dominant. 49,000 in the Stadium of Light, singing their heads off. It was almost like, welcome back to the Premier League, Sunderland, because you missed.
They're a big club. They're a big club. They've got huge support, and we always say it every time this year, Rob. Promotion. The euphoria of it, it does drive you early on, and you need to take advantage of that with some victories. They won the first game.
Played well, good size. Dan Ballard played at the backs.
Yeah, made a great clearance early on.
Then gets himself a goal. The 2 lads who scored last year, Isidore and Wayende, get goals. So, a lot to look forward to for Sunderland.
How fun is it to be in the UK, mate, for the opening weekend?
Absolutely.
How lucky are we?
Just talk to me a little bit about Nottingham Forest and Brentford. Nottingham Forest 3, Brentford 1. Keith Andrews, people talked about he's a replacement for I know we're one game in, but kind of not the start that he would want.
I know it's not, but I still think, and it's going to be so quick and convenient to look at Keith Andrews, a lack of experience, but there's so much has changed at Brentford. For anybody in charge, Rob, it's going to be difficult. Of course, we'll wait and see how he reacts and how he talks in the media, etc. around it. But that, as I think you said earlier on, you don't often see Brentford being 3 goals.
No, down at half time.
So.
No.
But it was fun weekend, mate.
It was fun. We were here. I think I can hear something, Mustoe.
What's that there? What's that?
Yeah, it's a bottle of beer opening. I think we've had time. It's been a brilliant weekend. Our first week came back at the first start of the season. We'll be back next weekend from the studio for our usual podcast, so make sure you listen in wherever you get your podcast. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the two Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
Ben, it's good night from him. Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.